Have you ever stopped to consider how many times talking too much has harmed you? We live in a world that celebrates those who speak loudly and often. Social media rewards constant sharing. Meetings value those who contribute the most comments. And many believe that leadership means having the most to say. But what if the path to transformation lies in the opposite direction? Silence is one of the most underrated tools for personal and professional growth. When you commit to shutting up for 7 days, not completely, but eliminating all unnecessary chatter, you create space for profound change to occur. The Stoic philosophers wisely noted that we have 2 ears and only 1 mouth, suggesting we should listen twice as much as we speak. This wasn't just philosophical musing, it was practical advice for living a better life. Seneca, another prominent Stoic, emphasized that silence is a powerful ally for those seeking wisdom. And the greatest remedy for anger, he wrote, is delay. By restricting our immediate verbal responses, we gain control over our emotions and reactions. Silence as a tool for self-discovery. When you stop filling every moment with words, something remarkable happens. You begin to hear yourself. Your true thoughts, desires, and insights emerge when they're not constantly drowned out by your own voice. Many of us talk to fill uncomfortable silences, to impress others, or to validate our own existence. But this constant chatter creates a barrier between our authentic selves and the world. By shutting up for 7 days, you remove this barrier and discover what lies beneath. How words betray us. Words can become traps. How often have you said something in haste, only to regret it immediately? How many times has an unnecessary comment created conflict that could have been avoided? Our words often betray our intentions. We say too much, reveal too much, promise too much, and in doing so, we create problems that silent observation would have prevented. By committing to speak only when necessary, you eliminate countless potential mistakes before they occur. Embracing the discomfort of silence. At first, staying silent will feel uncomfortable. You might feel an overwhelming urge to fill gaps in conversation, to offer your opinion in meetings, or to respond to every message immediately. This discomfort is natural, but it's also temporary. As you practice restraint, you'll develop a new relationship with silence. What once felt awkward becomes powerful. You'll notice how others rush to fill the void you've created, often revealing more than they intended. You'll observe how your silence creates space for deeper thoughts to emerge. The immediate impact on your interactions. When you speak less, each word carries more weight. People begin to listen differently when they know you only speak when you have something valuable to say. Your relationships transform as others recognize this shift in your communication style. In professional settings, this change can be even more dramatic. Colleagues and superiors notice when someone breaks the pattern of needless chatter. Your thoughtful contributions stand out against the background noise of workplace communication. The challenge: 1 day of necessary words only. As a practical first step, try this. For 1 full day, speak only what is absolutely necessary. No small talk, no unnecessary comments, no thinking out loud. Before each utterance, ask yourself, is this necessary? Does this add value? Observe what happens around you. Notice how people respond differently. Pay attention to the extra mental bandwidth you suddenly possess when you're not constantly formulating your next statement. This single day will give you a glimpse of what awaits when you extend the practice to a full week. You'll begin to understand why the wisest individuals throughout history have valued silence, not as the absence of communication, but as its most powerful form. The true transformation begins when you realize that shutting up isn't about saying nothing. It's about saying only what matters. People's judgment and the importance of results. In a world obsessed with explanations and validation, the most powerful statement you can make is often through your silence. When you stop justifying every decision and let your results speak for themselves, something remarkable happens. People begin to judge you differently. The danger of excessive justification. How often do you find yourself explaining your choices? Whether it's a business decision, a personal commitment, or even a simple preference, many of us feel compelled to provide detailed justifications for everything we do. We desperately want to be understood by everyone. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius had profound insight on this matter. He taught that we shouldn't concern ourselves with others' opinions, as truth manifests in our actions, not our explanations. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one, he wrote. Similarly, Epictetus reinforced that our only responsibility is with what we can control, and excessive talking rarely falls under that category. When we justify ourselves constantly, we place our value in others' hands, seeking their approval rather than our own satisfaction with our choices. The authority of silence. There's a particular quality that surrounds those who speak rarely, but act decisively. Think about the most respected individuals in your field. Do they constantly explain themselves, or do they simply deliver results, creating an aura of competence that needs no verbal reinforcement? Silence creates mystery and authority. When you refuse to justify every move, people begin to trust your judgment intrinsically. They observe patterns in your success rather than analyzing the explanations you provide. This doesn't mean becoming cryptic or unnecessarily secretive. Rather, it means understanding that your worth is demonstrated through outcomes, not through eloquent justifications of your methods. Learning from the quiet achiever's history is filled with leaders and innovators who let their accomplishments speak louder than their words. Steve Jobs was known for his presentation skills, but those who worked closely with him spoke of his remarkable ability to communicate through decisive action rather than endless discussion. These individuals didn't achieve greatness by convincing others they were right. They achieved it by being right, consistently, and letting the results accumulate into an undeniable track record. The gap between promises and delivery. In professional environments, a dangerous pattern emerges when words outpace actions. The colleague who constantly promises groundbreaking ideas but rarely delivers becomes a cautionary tale. Meanwhile, the quiet professional who consistently exceeds expectations earns genuine respect. Every time you speak, you create expectations. Every promise, explanation, or justification establishes a standard against which you'll be measured. When you speak less and deliver more, you create a pattern of exceeding rather than merely meeting those expectations. This principle extends beyond the workplace. In relationships, communities, and personal development, those who consistently deliver value without fanfare build a reputation that no amount of persuasive speaking could achieve. Proving value through results. The simplest way to be judged favorably is to produce undeniable results. When you focus your energy on creation rather than explanation, you build something concrete that others can evaluate objectively. Think about it this way. No one asks about the process when the outcome exceeds expectations. The client who receives exceptional work doesn't demand to know how you achieved it. The friend who benefits from your loyalty doesn't need you to explain your reasoning. By shifting your focus from justification to production, you free yourself from the exhausting cycle of seeking approval for your methods. Instead, you let your contribution stand as evidence of your value. The 7-Day Challenge. Here's a practical exercise that can transform how others perceive you. For the next 7 days, make a commitment not to justify your decisions to anyone. This doesn't mean being rude or dismissive. Simply make your choices thoughtfully and then stand by them without elaboration. If someone questions your decision, respond with confidence. I've considered it carefully, and this is the best approach. Then, most importantly, deliver results that prove your judgment was sound. During this week, pay close attention to how this change affects your relationships and reputation. Notice how people respond differently when you stop seeking their validation through explanations. By letting your actions speak for you, you'll discover a freedom that endless justification never provided. The freedom to be judged on what truly matters, the value you create in the world. Being decisive and becoming indispensable. Many people talk excessively because they lack confidence in their decisions. They seek validation, consensus, and reassurance before taking action. But in a world that rewards results over rhetoric, the ability to act decisively without external approval is what truly sets exceptional individuals apart. The weakness of indecision. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, emphasized that life is too short for endless hesitation. When you constantly vacillate between options, seeking input from everyone around you, you not only waste precious time, but also undermine your credibility. Indecision broadcasts insecurity. Each time you waffle on a choice or defer to others' opinions, you signal that you don't trust your own judgment. Over time, this erodes others' confidence in you as well. People naturally gravitate toward those who demonstrate conviction in their choices. Think about the leaders you most respect. Do they agonize publicly over every decision, or do they gather necessary information, make a clear choice, and move forward with purpose? The latter approach inspires confidence and establishes authority without requiring a single word of self-promotion. Becoming a problem solver, not a problem discusser. In every organization and relationship, there are two types of people: those who talk about problems and those who solve them. The former group is abundant, the latter is rare and invaluable. When you encounter a challenge, what's your first instinct? Do you call a meeting to discuss it? Draft a lengthy email analyzing it, complain to colleagues about it, or do you simply roll up your sleeves and address it directly? Marcus Aurelius reinforced the necessity of acting according to reason, without waiting for the perfect moment. Stop philosophizing about what a good person should be, he advised. Be one. This practical wisdom applies perfectly to problem solving. While others debate the ideal approach, the truly valuable person has already implemented a solution. By consistently choosing action over discussion, you position yourself as someone who delivers results rather than excuses. This reputation cannot be built through words alone. It must be demonstrated repeatedly through tangible outcomes. Creating consistent value. The most successful people in any field aren't those who speak most eloquently about their potential contribution. They're those who create real value consistently. This principle applies whether you're an entrepreneur, employee, artist, or parent. Value creation doesn't require permission or announcement. It simply requires identifying needs and addressing them effectively. When you focus your energy on producing rather than talking about producing, you naturally become essential to those around you. Consider the difference between a colleague who regularly proposes ideas versus one who implements improvements without fanfare. Which one becomes indispensable to the organization? The answer is clear. Action creates value in ways that discussion alone never can. Developing an action mindset. Transitioning from excessive talk to decisive action requires a fundamental shift in mindset. This doesn't happen overnight, but it begins with recognizing the distinction between motion and progress. Motion feels productive. Meetings, discussions, planning sessions all create the sensation of advancement. But genuine progress only occurs when something tangible changes as a result of your efforts. By focusing relentlessly on outcomes rather than activities, you train yourself to prioritize action over deliberation. Start by identifying areas in your life where you tend to overthink or overdiscuss. Are there decisions you've been postponing? Conversations you keep rehashing without resolution? Problems you've analyzed extensively without implementing solutions? These represent opportunities to practice decisive action. When you feel the urge to seek consensus before moving forward, ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen if I make this decision independently? In most cases, the potential downside is far less significant than the upside of demonstrating decisive leadership. The permission-free challenge. For the next 7 days, commit to taking at least one significant action daily without seeking permission or consensus. This doesn't mean acting recklessly or disregarding important input. It means trusting your judgment enough to move forward when you've gathered sufficient information. This might involve making a business decision you've been postponing, implementing a solution to a recurring problem, taking initiative on a project without being asked, addressing a personal challenge you've been avoiding, setting a boundary you've been hesitant to establish. document the outcomes of these decisions. Notice how taking action creates momentum that endless discussion never could. Pay attention to how others respond to your newfound decisiveness. By the end of the week, you'll likely discover that your fear of acting independently was largely unfounded. More importantly, you'll have established yourself as someone who moves things forward, a rare and valuable quality in any context. The simple truth is this: in a world full of talkers, the doers stand out. When you shut your mouth and let your actions speak instead, you become not just heard, but genuinely indispensable. The true impact: serving until it hurts and giving your best. The most profound impact we can have on others often comes not from what we say, but from what we silently do for them. While many seek recognition for every small contribution, there exists a more powerful approach, serving others so intensely that it leaves them speechless. The silent power of genuine service. Epictetus, one of history's most influential Stoic philosophers, taught that true power lies in helping others without expecting recognition. Freedom is not achieved by satisfying desire, he said, but by eliminating it. When applied to our relationships and professional lives, this wisdom reveals something remarkable. Our greatest influence comes when we stop seeking acknowledgement for our contributions. Consider the difference between someone who helps a colleague and immediately broadcasts their generosity versus someone who quietly solves problems for others without mention. The first creates a transaction, help in exchange for recognition. The second creates transformation, both in the recipient of the help and in the relationship itself. Silent service creates a depth of impact that self-promotion never can. It demonstrates that your commitment extends beyond personal gain, establishing a foundation of trust that words alone cannot build. Creating loyalty through selfless contribution. When you consistently serve others without broadcasting your efforts, you generate something invaluable: genuine gratitude and respect. These cannot be demanded or negotiated. They must be earned through actions that speak louder than any words could. Think about the people to whom you feel the deepest loyalty. Are they those who constantly remind you of what they've done for you, or those who have consistently supported you without keeping score? The latter creates bonds that transcend typical transactional relationships. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that we should do good deeds for their own sake, not for recognition. This approach transforms how others perceive you. When people realize you're contributing without an agenda, that you genuinely care about their success, they develop a natural desire to reciprocate and support your endeavors. The authenticity revolution: speaking only when it matters. In a world of carefully crafted personal brands and rehearsed responses, authentic communication stands out dramatically. When you speak rarely but truthfully, when you say the unexpected thing that needs to be said rather than the expected thing that sounds good, you create moments of genuine connection. This authenticity is only possible when you've built a foundation of silent service. People can sense the difference between someone who is performing helpfulness and someone who is genuinely invested in their well-being. The former speaks constantly about their contributions. The latter lets their actions reveal their character. When you do choose to speak after establishing this foundation, your words carry extraordinary weight. A single honest observation or sincere word of encouragement from someone who rarely seeks the spotlight can create more impact than hours of conventional praise or advice. The candle metaphor: burning yourself to illuminate others. Consider the humble candle. It gives light by consuming itself. This powerful metaphor captures the essence of meaningful service. To truly illuminate others' paths, we must be willing to expend our own energy, time, and resources without guarantee of return. This doesn't mean martyring yourself or neglecting self-care. Rather, it means approaching your relationships and responsibilities with a genuine willingness to give your best, even when it requires sacrifice. The candle that burns twice as bright may burn half as long, but it creates twice the illumination during its existence. When you approach your work, relationships, and communities with this mindset, willing to pour yourself into creating value for others without demanding immediate recognition, you establish yourself as someone irreplaceable, not because you've claimed that status verbally, but because you've demonstrated it consistently through action. The 7-day service challenge for the next week. Commit to helping someone every single day without telling anyone about it. These acts don't need to be grand gestures. They might include solving a problem for a colleague before they even know it exists, offering guidance to someone facing a challenge you've overcome, creating resources that make others' jobs easier, providing emotional support to someone struggling, taking on an unpleasant task to spare someone else the burden. The key is that these contributions must remain your secret. No subtle hints, no casual mentions in conversation, no social media posts documenting your generosity. Simply do what needs to be done and move on. Keep a private journal of these acts and how they made you feel. Notice whether your motivation changes when external recognition is removed from the equation. Pay attention to how these silent contributions affect your relationships and self-perception. By the end of these 7 days, you'll likely discover something profound. The satisfaction of making a difference doesn't come from others acknowledging your contribution. It comes from knowing you've genuinely improved someone's life. This realization transforms not just how you serve, but why you serve. In a world obsessed with visibility and validation, your silent impact will speak volumes. As Epictetus wisely observed, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. True transformation begins when you stop seeking external validation and start creating internal worth through selfless service. The loudest statement you can make is often the one you never speak at all. Character above charisma and the commitment to growth. As we reach the end of our exploration into the power of silence and action, one truth stands above all others. Character ultimately trumps charisma. In a world obsessed with personality and presentation, the substance of who you are, revealed through consistent action rather than constant talking, is what truly determines your impact and legacy. The lasting power of character. We've all encountered individuals with magnetic personalities who initially captivate us, only to disappoint when their actions fail to match their words. Conversely, we've met quiet achievers whose consistent integrity and results command genuine respect that deepens over time. The difference between these two paths is stark. Charisma may open doors, but character keeps them open. Charisma might win attention, but character earns trust. Charisma can impress temporarily, but character influences permanently. By embracing the challenge of speaking less and acting more decisively over these 7 days, you've begun developing something far more valuable than the ability to impress others with your words. You've started building a foundation of character that will support every aspect of your life and relationships. Maintaining the growth mindset. The true measure of this 7-day challenge isn't simply whether you survived a week of speaking less. It's whether this experience has sparked a permanent shift in how you approach communication and contribution. Growth requires consistency beyond initial enthusiasm. The principles we've explored, careful listening, letting results speak for themselves, decisive action, and selfless service, aren't techniques to be applied occasionally. They represent a fundamental reorientation of how you engage with the world. To maintain this growth mindset, regularly ask yourself, am I still speaking only when necessary, or have I fallen back into habits of excessive explanation? Are my actions consistently aligning with my values, or am I relying on words to bridge the gap? Am I making decisions based on internal conviction or external validation? Am I serving others genuinely or seeking recognition for every contribution? These questions, honestly answered, will keep you accountable to the higher standard you've now established for yourself. The doers and the talkers. Throughout history, humanity has been divided into two fundamental groups: those who talk about making a difference and those who actually create change. The first group is abundant, the second is rare and invaluable. The talkers craft elaborate explanations for why things are the way they are. They debate endlessly about what should be done, They create detailed plans that never materialize into action. They speak passionately about their intentions and potential. The doers, meanwhile, are busy implementing solutions. They identify problems and address them directly. They learn through action rather than endless preparation. They build while others discuss building. They serve while others talk about service. By committing to speak less and do more, you've taken the first step toward joining this second group, the creators, builders, and problem solvers who move humanity forward through concrete action rather than abstract discussion. The ongoing journey. The transformation we've explored throughout this challenge isn't a destination. It's a path that continues throughout your life. Each day presents new opportunities to choose silence over unnecessary speech, action over hesitation, service over self-promotion. Some days you'll succeed brilliantly, embodying these principles with grace and consistency. Other days you'll falter, slipping back into old patterns of excessive talking and insufficient doing. What matters isn't perfection but direction, the consistent commitment to move toward greater substance and away from empty words. Remember that this journey isn't about becoming silent in the literal sense. It's about ensuring that when you do speak, your words carry the weight of integrity and action behind them. It's about creating such consistent value through your actions that your reputation speaks more eloquently than your words ever could. Your next chapter. Now that you've experienced the power of shutting up and letting your actions speak, what will you do with this knowledge? How will you continue applying these principles beyond the 7-day challenge? Perhaps you'll extend the practice to specific areas of your life where excessive talking has created particular challenges. Maybe you'll deepen your commitment to serving others without seeking recognition. Or perhaps you'll focus on making more decisive moves in your career or relationships without the need for constant validation. Whatever path you choose, know that you've already begun the most important transformation, from someone defined by their words to someone defined by their character and contributions. Now I ask you, are you ready to change your life in just 7 days? Comment below and share your experience with this challenge. Are you ready for the challenge? And now I ask you, have you ever struggled with talking too much in situations where silence would have served you better? Which part of this 7-day challenge seems most difficult for you? Stopping unnecessary explanations, making decisions without seeking approval, or helping others without telling anyone? Comment below with your biggest takeaway and let me know if you're accepting the challenge. Don't forget to like this video if you found it valuable and subscribe for more life-changing content that puts ancient wisdom into modern practice.